Legends. So I went ahead and queued up, landed in the top lane, and the ban phase has been concluded. You can see the picks slowly start to trickle in. So Zed on the enemy team, we have Cog and Skarner. Now, as long as Katarina is going to go an AP character, I can go whoever I want in the top lane. And if it's going to be Singed, I'm probably going to go Nasus. So I want to go to my Udyr page, my sustain tank. I believe the last time I went up against Singed, I used Trundle because if he proxies, you can just hold the wave in front of the tower and get everything. Nasus is very similar in that once he starts proxying, you can just freeze the wave outside your turret. Basically, you'll be tanking it, and you can just last hit to keep yourself sustained. It's kind of simple, really. So, for him to actually have an impact in this lane, he needs to not proxy, for one. With him, like, he does have a window to kill me. He can fling me to somewhere else, cock, and then try to get the isolation damage, that type of deal. Yeah, everything's the way I want it. It's possible they could do a Zed roam also. We'll have to see. Thing is, I need to get my CDR as quickly as possible. So my options would be, for the quick 30% is the Glacial Shroud, Sheen, and Kindle Gem. The Kindle Gem itself is pretty nice in that I can then combine it into a Spirit Visage. That in turn will give me more healing and protection from Singed. He's going Thunderlords, eh? But this is the new Kha'Zix skin. I wanted to see it in action because it's something I'd be interested in actually picking up. I will admit I am a bit of a sucker for the Death Blossom skins. I have Elise's, wouldn't mind having Kha'Zix's. But it could be a rough bot lane since these two are pre-made. We can tell from their group name. None of these other ones are part of the same group, so I don't know if you can be part of more than one group, now that I think about it. It could be possible that one of these three could be with them. But Earthrune Skarner, I'd rather get the desert one. I forgot what exactly it's called. Still waiting for that one to go on sale before I pick it up, and I'm still waiting for a Nocturne skin that I like to come out. In case you're wondering, yes, I don't even care for Eternum. But everyone seems to have loaded. Let's go to post-game comm now. Okay, so picking up the post-commentary here. I have decided to go with a pair of games this week, both from the top lane, delaying the jungle Skarner. I know, but you get a jungle Skarner right here, so it's the next best thing, right? And the good news is, this is a guy who actually knows how to play him, so expect good things. But anyway, here you can see my Blue Lantern Nasus skin in effect. When I was actually comparing it side by side with K9, I finally just decided, you know what, this one is better, it has better graphics. It's not an official skin, but it's probably the best one for Nasus, in my opinion. I'm not really a fan of Infernal Nasus, so this is just a large improvement all around. But anyway, with the pair of games I'm going to be uploading, they are both in the top lane, and these are both games where you have to come from behind, so to speak. So to explain Singed real quick, I don't know right now, but this is something you'll see as we start to level up. All of his runes, he's speccing into the early game. He wants to get some sort of advantage and win from there. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the best against Nasus, since he has a lot of late game scaling. But Singed is going to have an advantage until we both get our ults. And if you're wondering why that is exactly, if you ever look at how scaling runes work, the flat runes are better from levels 1 through 5, they're equal at 6, and then the scaling are superior each level past. So once I hit level 6, our runes will actually be equalized, and from then on, every single level is just one more nail in Singe's coffin. So right now what I'm actually trying to look at is not actually the lane. I'm waiting for Singe to arrive because I want to see if I actually clicked on him so you can see his stuff. But he's going to have something like 20 AP or 25. I forgot what the runes work out to be right off the bat. There you go, you can see it now. So in order for that to work out, he needs to spec his glyphs to AP, I believe. As a result, he doesn't really have any sorts of MR, and the other reason why this is so devastating is because, for one, your Spirit Fire, your E, is a form of magic damage, and it also reduces the enemy's armor. And the secondary reason is that your ult is also mixed damage of sorts. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, that was a little unfortunate. Right here, I believe I have my potion on the wrong key. I haven't noticed just yet. So talking about the ult, it does magic damage in the form of percent HP damage each second the enemy is within the radius. And the other part is, all of that damage that's being done through the sandstorm is actually being given to Nasus in the form of AD. So yes, it's going to overtly reduce the... Right here's when I die. You can see the Thunderlord's proc wasn't really expected. But like I said, he's entirely early game. So the Sandstorm will outright do some damage, just very slowly whittle the enemy down, and as it rages, that's going to be more and more and more, basically, AD that's added on. It's not going to be a very great amount, but basically every hit you deal to the enemy while that Sandstorm is raging is going to hit harder than the one before it. And it's going to be like that until the Sandstorm finally subsides, because there is no damage cap on the AD you can get from his ult. So right here I went ahead and put the third point into my Q, putting it at rank 2. The reason for that being is just so I can get a little bit of extra damage out of the Q, and therefore a little bit more CDR, or CD reduction. Not quite CDR, because your moves, depending on the character and the move, will sometimes decrease in cooldown by putting points into it. Vladimir and Nasus, their Qs go down by 1.5 seconds, I want to say, each time you put a point into them. For Nasus, it might actually just be a flat 1 second, I'm not entirely sure. So, by putting points into the Q, you can get it off more often and just deal more damage all around. Now, one thing I should point about Singe's poison is if you look at the Keystone Mastery of mine, the Grasp of the Undying, each tick of the poison gives me a stack of that. So once I have some MR, I can actually trade with him inside of his poison, even though that may not make a lot of sense to you. Next point is, as I get more and more HP, the damage, or the sustain I get from that Keystone will go up accordingly. And then the third point is, basically as I get more and more Q stacks, I can actually get more sustain out of my passive and just more damage with that hit. So while Singe did get 2 kills like this, I'm slowly making progress to level 6, and 6 is his peak in power for the entire game. He is going to hit a ceiling there, and that's pretty much it. So sorry if you're a Singed fan, but this is not going to end well for him. Right here you can see him starting to proxy, and I'm going to show you what I've talked about in a couple other videos, like the Trundle one. When you are dealing with a proxy Singed, if you have certain tanks, you can actually still take their tower without minions. And you'll see what I mean when he actually finally does go full proxy. To make things worse, as you get more and more items, as my scaling stuff ramps up. Oh, here's where he dies, I think. Yeah, he's gonna come back around and die. So here I'm getting my potion ticking because I know I can kill him. Time to die. So I leveled up, and I also hit the thing to get some lifesteal on my passive, and just like that, level 6 achieved, I got a kill on him, and now that's it. He's reached a ceiling. To make things even worse for him, since I'll go ahead and spoil it, as the game progresses, he really tunnels in on me. And what I mean by that is he goes extremely heavy in the armor and HP department. And it's going to really backfire on him when Katarina catches up to him because she can just blow him up in seconds. Now you may be saying, hey, that's Singed, he's tanky and stuff, but yeah, he messes up royally. But in case you haven't noticed, his stats aren't really improving by leveling up. He's all about the flat stuff in early game. So right here I'm using the Q to just generate more lifesteal. Skarner's in route, but doesn't really matter. So right here I'm sitting on my ult because I can do this. And right now he's stuck between a Jackal, a Scorpion, and a Tau. Not a fun place to be. But in all seriousness, with as strong as Singed gets late game, I have no idea why you'd legitimately want to spec so heavy early. Hopefully you can see how bad this is just backfiring on him. But I think at this point he just gives up on trying to lane against me because he knows he's done. In reality, I probably should have teleported to the minion, but it's one of those hindsight things where I know he's going to proxy from here. And since he's not going to be in the lane, it doesn't really matter. Oh, the bug. I don't remember if this was my first time seeing the Death Blossom Kha'Zix, but yeah, I'm a little jealous.
An ally has been slain.
Ironically, the Elderwood skins don't really interest me that much as the Death Blossoms, but yes, I am a little obsessed with plants, I know.
It is.
I'm trying to remember how much I played Poison Ivy back in Infinite Crisis. Oh well. So anyway, right here I have some MR, I have some CDR for my Kindle Gem. And the Thunderlord's proc is actually magic damage if you're not aware, so the Null Magic Mantle is also going to cut into the damage from that. And right here you can finally see the difference in our keystones. Thunderlord's going to be dealing about 100 damage, but I have the Kindle Gem and the Ruby Crystal, so that's not an outright amount, like a high amount, I mean. But the thing is, there's no cooldown on my keystone. It's just whenever I get those 4 stacks, which his poison helps me get really, really fast. So as a result, these trades, as they go on, it just gets worse and worse for the Mad Chemist. At this point, I don't really have my Wither up to do anything with Singed, so Katarina made a wasted trip. But later on, once I have more points into Wither, it's going to be really painful when she shows up. Now, one thing that I don't like is, once he does start proxying, my team actually makes a deal of trying to get him instead of just outright ignoring him. In the event that they ignored him, the way it would work is we are both guaranteed full waves. I can actually queue every single minion of the wave, getting 18 stacks per wave, not counting cannon minion waves. When those come around, that's actually 24 per wave. And there goes the Mad Chemist. Meanwhile, he'll get the 6 or 7 minions himself, but the thing is, I can actually run in, Q the turret. My Q will hurt more than normal, but the turret will have its full armor value, unfortunately. And yes, I'll eat 2 to 3 turret shots, depending on whether or not I have boots at the time. And the flip side is, while this is bad in the cases of Nasus and Trundle, they have so much sustain from the waves of minions that the turret shots don't matter. So I'm hoping right here you'll be able to see that. Right here I want to get the Spectre's Cowl so I have a little bit of extra regen when dealing with Singed. I want the Sheen for the additional damage as well as the CDR, and Boots so that I can move around more quickly because I'm going to start getting some visits from the bug. So right there, Cat and Braum died. Not really ideal, but it's not really bad either. You'll see what I mean as we go forward. So I believe Singe is going for a late game build, ironically, because unless my screen is kind of messed up, that looks like a catalyst in his first spot and a tier in his second. With the way his runes are, it's counterintuitive. Maybe he just doesn't have ideal rune pages. I mean, that'd be like the best argument you could make, but so right there you need to be extremely careful with what I just did. You can use the E carefully to last hit the minions under wave because it will reduce their armor. Thing is, that means they will take a little bit of extra damage from the tower, but if you know what you're doing, you can still get a good portion of the minions, if not all of them. Anyway, I am maxing Wither second because Singed is all about running away from the target. If you can stop him from running, he's toast. Right there, if you look at the mini-map, Singed should be in the top lane now, trying to proxy. We'll see for there he is. You can see him between the inner and the inhibitor towers. So right here I am trying to take these a little bit more quickly so that I can save as much of the minion wave as possible so I can deal more damage to the tower, but... And Katarina is making a bit of a mistake here where she seems to not grasp that some gold is better than no gold. As such, she should just be grateful that she's gaining assist, like money from the assist, rather than just getting nothing. But it's one of those newbie fallacy things. Anyway, Skarner shows up, but you can see by him not gaining an assist that I really did have it all under control. So right here, Skarner and Cat are converging on Singed, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to stick around to pick up this wave. After this game, I did take the scaling CDR glyphs off of the page, since I will hit 40 regardless. And I put that there in favor of just some scaling MRs. In the event I run into a lane like this ever again, I'll be a little bit better off due to having a couple extra points of MR. And then once I hit level 6, I'll have as much as I would have had if I used flats instead of scaling. Right there, Skarner, I tried to give the kill to each other. In the end, he had to secure it. I didn't really care to kill Singed because I'd get 6 stacks from killing him, but I could have missed 1 or 2 minions here, which would be just as much. So by giving it to Skarner, I can still get the same amount of stacks, I still get that assist gold, and since Skarner is having a much bigger influence on the map overall, giving him the gold is not necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, right here I'm picking up my completed Spirit Visage just for better healing, that way if I need to sit there and slug it out with someone, I'll be all the stronger. But my next order of business is getting the Glacial Shroud for more CDR. So right there, 37%. I wanted to teleport to the cannon, but you can see it died before I actually had the gold. Instead, I'll just teleport to this melee minion and continue the anti-proxy. As for what I was talking about with the Trundle Nasus thing, it's true that this only really does apply to the characters who have some sort of innate sustain. So it doesn't quite work with Jax, although I guess if you had like a Hextech Gunblade or something, you could lifesteal him. Then again, he's not one of those guys who can deal a lot of damage by going full tank.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
So right there, the bug goes down, Zed kills Cat. Zed is going to ultimately become a bit of a problem, but I have my fun with him after a certain point.
Shut down.
And if you're wondering, that point will be when I finally recite the Oath. Right there you can see 450 damage to the tower with my Sheen proc and the armor reduction that comes from having a minion nearby it. As for right here, yes, I am taking all the minions, but with the lifesteal from my passive, it's not actually making an impact. So right there I don't have enough damage to kill the cannon outright, so as a result I just waited until my Q came off cooldown. And right here I'm waiting for the Q to come up. I'm running in, tanking the tower shot. I'm hitting it, using the Q for an auto attack reset as well as a Sheen proc. And just like that, you're going to whittle the tower down. So that did approximately 200 damage. You consider the towers have about 4,000 HP, I want to say. That means, yes, it's going to take 20 waves approximately to kill that as is. And with waves spawning every 30 seconds, that means you will be doing this... Well, it's going to take about 10 minutes to kill from full health. Now, the counter-argument to that is, every single wave here, as I explained earlier, I get an additional 18 stacks. So basically, every Q hit that I do to the tower is going to hurt more than the one before it, and as a result, while it's not that big of a deal right now, I can probably get it down to 19 waves instead. And from there I can just move into the inner turret, that one's going to go down in even less time, and so on. Now right here I want to make sure I last hit the tower with Q, because you do get stacks from last hitting the tower. You get it from towers, wards. The only thing I believe last hitting with Q that does not give you anything is an inhibitor, because they respawn. So in case you're wondering about the ward thing, yes, I will Q a ward later on, and you can see that it's worth 3 stacks. I forgot what the tower was worth. I don't want to rewind the video, but I believe it was 3.
The sky is
So, I don't know about you guys, but I really do like this Blue Lantern Nasus skin. And Singe is making a big mistake here. So remember how I said things are going to be ugly for him when Cat finally catches up? She caught up. So right there I put another point into Wither to make it even more difficult and painful for him to pull that crap again. And in case you're wondering, no, he does not learn his lesson. So the enemy team got the dragon. Not ideal, but I'm a ticking time bomb, and technically so is Cog. The enemy is in a rough spot where they need to do stuff at a certain rate, and, well, yeah. So I don't remember if this is why I stick around for the wolf camp or not. Yeah. So right here we don't have eyes on a lot of them, and I figure they're probably trying to go bottom. Cog is a little bit easier to deal with because, well, he doesn't really find your movement so badly. But sure enough, Kha'Zix was here, so I popped my ult, I popped the Corrupting Potion, so I'm dealing extra damage. And you can see that it took both of them pretty much their lives to take me down. And that's me sitting on 2,000 gold. So the next time the two of us, well, the three of us fight, it's going to be a little bit different, don't worry. And of course, since they were focusing me and everything, they could have done a little bit more bot. I guess they weren't aware of the skirmish that went down at the wolf camp. Both Zed and Ka had to go back, as you can see they're not going bot. Depending on how fast Cog's attack speed is these days, it may very well have been possible for him to kill the tower before having to peel back from Jinx. Anyway, there's our buddy Singed. You can see he's had a change of heart regarding his whole proxying policy. But don't worry, his spine will materialize once I walk away. And like I said, it doesn't matter if he proxies, because I can face tank the towers. Even more so now that I have the Frozen Heart, because it gives you something like 90 armor. With my scaling armor and just that, the towers are going to do progressively less damage to me, so I might even be able to get to the point where I can actually do 2 Qs per... I don't know if you want to call it, well, between waves. I was thinking along the lines of excursion, but I wasn't really sure if that would be the proper term to use. And then, if you can get 2 off per wave, then you're looking at 500 or 600 damage minimum, not counting any sort of auto attacks that actually go on between those. You can see that the time to kill towers is going to keep decreasing. Right there, that's one of those waves where I got 24 stacks. and that was 24 stacks in a 30-second window. So if you're trying to keep your goal of 10 minutes yielding 100 stacks, or 20 yielding... or wait, it's either 100 per 10 or 20 per 10, depending on what level you're going for. Back in Season 3 when you jungle Nasus, yes, there are videos on this channel, your goal was 100 stacks per 10 minutes, basically 10 stacks a minute. But when you're laning him, CS is a lot easier to come by, and you don't really have to worry as much. Right there you can see that all this is not in the interest of Singe's health. He went ahead and got Swifties so that I don't slow him as much, but the slow lasts as long. He has his Rod of Ages, but that doesn't matter. Kind of feel sorry for the guy how he doesn't really have any influence past the 10-minute mark, but that's why runes and masteries matter.
I walk.
So there goes the bug. You can see that cat is finally starting to come into the game.
Shurima is not of this time.
Meanwhile, I am holding on to my teleport in case I need to just port into a fight or something. Otherwise, I just spend most of my time top lane building more and more stacks so that I can ultimately kill the AD carry, the mid laner, or a few other people in 2 shots.
This too must end.
So going to chase him does mean I have to forfeit a few stacks. Not ideal. But we have broken the 400 mark.
Slain.
Right there you can see Cog might have an isolation thing going. I don't know how his isolation works with minions. It's just he kind of knows who the boss is. The guy with the blue power ring. And in case you have any doubts, splat goes the bug. So right there I'm trying to drop tower aggro while I go ahead and come back to pick up all of these CS. So a bit unfortunate Zed got the triple. I believe right here I sacrificed myself to kill the tower and Zed will get it. Yeah, this is the moment. So I'm going to try to flash over the wall, but I don't quite make it. You can see that I still almost killed Blitz, but it did take 3 of them now to kill me. And in case you're wondering, revenge is 1 minute away. And in case you're wondering, yes, it's oath time. We need to put Zed in his place. So, I want to finish the Trinity Force so that I pack more of a punch. I'm going to go ahead and get the Phage so I have more movement speed, basically as I start laying into the enemy I deal while I keep up my movement speed. I can't read the number on my screen, but I'm over 500 stacks now, I believe. So, here we come. Poor Zed. Of course the enemy is going to be down Kha'Zix, but that doesn't make this any less sweeter. So Blitz did get caught out, but I'm not staying out this fight. In fearful day, in raging night, in strong hearts full, our souls ignite, when all seems lost in the war of light. Look to the stars, for hope burns bright. So Wither on Jinx, that leads into a Skarner stun, then a Braum stun. And at this point, I don't care to tank the tower because I'm friggin' Nasus, and I just used the Oath. So at this point, I'm trying to get into Zed's head. Some allegations are thrown around regarding the Wither spell. Right there I was going to try to face tank the tower once again, but Ka showed up, and trying to deal with him and the tower is a little too much. Me too. That was the mid and AD carry. Both turned into stacks.
Their death awaits.
12 stacks, boys. So right here, Singe is a little bit too durable for me to kill because he has a Thornmail now. And if you look at my health, even though I'm hitting him, I'm actually dealing so much damage, I'm not losing health. Part of this is actually just due to my damage outputs working with my passive to give me lifesteal, but the other part is the way Thornmail works, that reflects its damage in the form of magic damage. So that Spirit Visage I got way earlier in the game, my first completed item I believe, is now coming back to pay off. Then again, its passive does give me, well, it has some regen of its own, but then it also synergizes any sort of regen I get, including the lifesteal from my passive. So Singe really has no prayer whatsoever.
There will be nothing.
In his position, I seriously would not have gone for Thornmail. I would have went for Randuin's Omen, because that way he could at least pop the slow to make his getaway, but he's not a very high-level Singe player from the look of it. But anyway, right now we are waiting for Cat and my summoners to come back up, so I can use this opportunity to pick up some CS. I believe we are now over the 600 mark, I'm not totally sure. But anyway, we hit 40% CDR when we finished the Frozen Heart. So my Q is on a 3.4 second cooldown, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be 6 seconds and then 40% CDR shaves off 2.6, leaving 3.4.
There, for grace I go.
So if I were to use that Q on each minion of the way, that's going to take about 20 seconds. Here's the Q on a ward, in case you were wondering. You can see it's worth 3 stacks. It takes about 20 seconds to kill all these if I want to Q them all. Then when the cannon's there, it's going to take 23.
An enemy has been slain.
Actually, it's going to be rounded up to 24. I think it's going to be 23.8. But anyway, I'm probably boring you guys with the numbers. So right there, we killed Jinx, lost Cat, but in the meantime, I'm open in the mid, Singe is showing top, basically free tower. You can see my Q does 847 damage. That time I only did 833, so I'm not sure why I did an additional 14 there, but not a big deal. So I'm still queuing that to get the additional 3 stacks. And ultimately, I am trying to get up to the point where I deal 1,000 damage with my Q to structures. But in reality, for the enemy team at this point, they're past any chance of salvaging this game. At this point, it's going to take a minimum of 3 of them to kill me unless I'm under a tower, but even still, if I have Skarner with me, they're still going to die. So he goes ahead and drags Jinx out. For some reason, Zed decides to ult me of all the people. So I go ahead and splatter him. Now, Skarner can tank this because he's going for that heavy HP build. He has his exoskeleton on W. You can see that the tower couldn't even pop his exoskeleton. It's that ridiculous. In the meantime, you can see I'm dealing, I think that's 926 to structures. And right here, Blitz and Ka are going to die. But it's kind of funny how this all plays out, so check it out. So right there, Blitz burned his flash, he's trying to make his getaway. Kha'Zix burned his leap, and we're thinking, okay, maybe they're dumb enough to pull one of us. And you can see, yes, I walked into that. That was fully intentional, so I could do this. And then this. So at this point, I don't want to leave Skarner behind, but we did everything we could there, and the dragon is not coming up, so there's no reason for us to stick around any longer. So the other nice thing about getting Dragon 2 is that's going to add burn damage onto my attacks, so I can split push even better than before. So while I am going to be dealing about 1,000 damage to structures, I'll also be dealing something like an extra 150 through the lingering burn. And right there we got the ace. Meanwhile, I'm busting a move while waiting for the dragon to come up. Meanwhile, on top lane, Singe's Rod of Ages is back up. Well, it's fully stacked, I mean. Meanwhile, in the Dragon Pit, I go ahead and help myself to this. Since there's no one around to contest this, you can see the bug has just now respawned. I am going to last hit those with the Q so that I can get the 6 stacks. So I am forfeiting some stacks by having to sit here and wait for the thing to respawn and then ultimately take it. but the overall advantage it gives to the team is very much worth the 20 or so stacks I had to forfeit. And there we go, Dragon 2. And if you notice, I'm seeing out a lot of gold. And when this happens, someone usually pays the price. And if you said that someone is Kha'Zix, you are correct. So the bug is forgot his place, so I have to go ahead and remind him. Unfortunately for him, he tried to duck out in the brush. Bad news for him is I just turned around because I wanted the minions instead. But bug goes splat, 6 stacks, you know the drill. So while all that was going on, you can see I pulled 3 of them bot lane. My team went ahead and did the Baron. The writing's on the wall. Right here, it's just they're struggling to stay alive, and they kind of are wasting their own time, to be honest. So when it was all said and done, I was just under 6k. I can get a Trinity Force, a completed Dead Man's Plate, and I had the option to sell my Corrupting Potion and buy something else, but I'd rather have the Corrupting Potion up for any sort of lingering damage I can deal through my E or my ult. So right here I was hoping Skarner would let this minion tank it, that way I could teleport onto it, it's invulnerable, you know the drill. But yeah, instead, tower dies to my burn, instead I use the Q on the inhibitor, and we have finally broken 1k damage on structures. Right here is when Cinch is going to get completely splattered. Blitz gets queued, and here we go. So I'm softening him up, Cat showed up, 1 Death Lotus later, Tog picks up the kill. Now Cat is going to pick up tower aggro here to kill Kha'Zix to get that off before I just outright destroy the tower. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is the end of the game. And I queue the Nexus to get the last hit. So busting a move on their base so that they know who the boss is in case they forgot, because Kha'Zix seem to be awfully forgetful this game. But anyway, you can see S rank. Can't see if that's a plus, a minus, or a regular S. The important thing is that was another chest, but I've shared my thoughts about the crafting system already. In terms of damage, you can see I was number 2. In terms of damage taken, I somehow had more than Skarner. I genuinely don't know how. I just don't know. But anyway, that was Blue Lantern Nasus. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.